Welcome to another episode of VNture podcast, your weekly source of visual novel goodness. I am MR, and together with Tauros, we shall venture into another discussion about VNs. Today we have a very special episode, the first guest reappearance. And who else is better to have than the true Degen himself, ASid-kun. Welcome back, and please tell us a little about yourself and the truly degenerate topic you've brought today.
Okay. Well, hello everyone, and thank you guys, MR and Tauros, for re-inviting me to your podcast. I've been looking forward to joining you guys for quite a while. We didn't have enough fun back then, but we're gonna continue to talk so more fun this time. And yeah, everyone, hi, and my name is Acid, and I'm a VN YouTuber. I make content on visual novels, mainly on the degenerate side, I guess. I mean, yeah, I make the degenerate series for visual novels. So yeah, I think I'm really the cultured person, as you would say. But yeah, so what kind of fun did you guys drag me back into, huh?
Yes. For this episode, we are going to dive into the topic of H scenes. Very glad to have you on board, Acid, and your reviews have been super cool, so thank you. But of course, for anyone unawares, many visual novels contain sex scenes. These are usually just called H scenes for shorthand. It has a long history of being involved in visual novels, starting from VN's murky roots as eroge, and that continues today. Honestly, a lot of titles are expected to have it, depending on the genre and the publisher, and for what demographic they're shooting for. However, having these H scenes have caused many problems for the medium in the past. Online payment processors have sometimes taken issue with it. There's been bans from the Steam storefront for valid reasons or just completely inappropriate reasons. Even some trouble with physical copies and of course general social acceptance. So, on the other hand, you know what they say, sex sells, and there are many titles that made it big, starting because they contained adult content, and that's what drew interest. And then the series sprouted because of its writing, its art, its story, and whatnot, but if it weren't for the adult content, it wouldn't have ever taken off. So it is a very double-edged sword. And I wanted to ask, MR, what are some of your thoughts about it so far?
When preparing for this episode in particular, there was one wise person who said, when judging the fun scene, great in writing, but poor in storytelling. From that, I thought maybe we should have two dimensions by which we could tackle the topic. The first would be whether or not the age utilizes story, or maybe the story utilizes the age. Another dimension to tackle is whether the content itself, the scene, is more story relevant or relationship relevant. So whether or not it depicts or takes place in the story itself on the grander scheme, or maybe, just maybe, contributes to the growth of some relationship between characters. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, you have a nice point. I think that's already assuming too much, though, because, as far as I'm aware, one common criticism about these is that there's a lot of times these just feel forced.
Definitely.
The H scenes start and all characterization goes out the window, and it just turns into like a 20-minute porno when you're in the middle of trying to read a story. Like, when it's done well, then yeah, I think what you're talking about, how when there's character relationships and how it drives the plot forward, those are the good kinds, right? Well, I mean, where I'm coming from, because I very much value plot and driving the story forward, so that's what I do appreciate,
Yeah, sure. Makes sense. I mean, another dimension could be the fan serviceness of it. So whether or not they are integral, or maybe they are probably my personally worst case is after a story, let's do the fan services. Those one I just detest. And my worst example by far would be Eden. What was the subtitle again? Do you remember?
I think it was there were only 2 on the planet.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that.
Have you read that? Have you read that, Acid?
No, unfortunately, so I cannot really comment on the matter. I'm sorry, but well, I'm interested when you bring it up. Maybe I'll put it in my read list next time. So, yeah.
Please don't take that as a recommendation because I wouldn't recommend it. I definitely did not like the story itself and its implementation of the fan service because it was so detached from the whatever that was.
Yeah, so how that went is that the title was originally all ages, and it was released in the mid-2000s or something, I believe. And afterwards, they created an adult version with bonus scenes as a re-release. And so that's why the H scenes in Eden feel so kind of out of place and disjointed from the story, because yeah, they were tacked on afterwards.
Well, yeah. that is a very very interesting fact that I didn't know about this one particular VN releasing first originally as an all ages and then suddenly re-released with an 18 plus patch, was it?
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned that the H scenes were not relevant to the story, like they were bonus, was it?
I mean, if I were to operate on a title you might know, this is not that dissimilar from how the H scene were implemented in Corona Blossom from Front Wing, because they also were after stories for that particular volume.
Of course. Okay, okay. Since Corona Blossom, fortunately I have read it because it is Front Wing. So yeah, I get what you're feeling that the H scenes are also like how do you say it? It's also like a bonus. It's not really into the story. You can't imagine how frustrated I was reading through all the story in Corona Blossom, just waiting when is the H scenes coming. So I was just that impatient for the Corona Blossom, and until I found out that it was actually like a separate side story. So, but then I would also bring up Grisaya then, because Grisaya is also a Front Wing product, right? Like, Grisaya has its separate fun stuff. If you guys know, like, please.
I mean, I read the entire trilogy. So...
Yeah. So it has that uncle. I don't remember that guy's name. Yeah, it has that separate section with that, but it also has dedicated H scenes into the plot. So, I mean, best of both worlds, right? I mean, well,
I think I rate Grisaya's implementation way higher because one, for those fan service outside of the game portions, they were not only self-aware, but they were having fun with the idea of those extra scenes. So the entire game and menu and the uncle character every time made some fun of the existence of it, and then those being non-canon are essentially what-ifs. Now, the story relevant, I would say, from my dimension, I would say they fit right in on the relationship relevant kind of deal. Not really story relevant, but at the very least, the relationship with the chosen heroine for which you pursued in the given route.
Well, you mentioned about it being like interesting and like gives up like a separate story that is like pretty how do you say it? Personally, I find like the side H scenes, like the bonus H scenes, to be really really enjoyable. But there's also one scene that's particularly disturbing. I I don't know if disturbing is the word.
Oh dear.
In Grisaya, there was the scene between the MC and his mom. So
Ah,
yeah, I wouldn't call that a bit eye-catching, right?
yes.
Okay,
And for better or for worse, there are very few limits
I
on
read
the
it. I read
visual
it.
novel medium. So on the so on the other hand, though, I don't want to make this sound entirely like bashing titles that don't focus on just like the plot or whatever, because there are
Yeah.
tons of them that are, solely focused on just being wank material, right? I mean, I'm guessing you would know more about that in some of the reviews you've done, right, Acid?
Sorry, what did you say? What
Because some visual novel titles are very much focused on telling the story and the plot beats and the character growth and all that typical literary stuff.
yeah.
But I mean,
see.
let's not be naive about it, because there's a lot of visual novels like Nukige that exist
Yeah.
basically as the jerk off material and whatever. And
Indeed.
that's very upfront about what it offers, and there's a huge market for it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, that's a very different standard for approaching H scenes and those kinds of titles, right?
I mean, probably it's, I don't know, it's kind of unfair to like compare this like Nukige that is directed towards the audience that really just want to relieve themselves, and then comparing to like a proper visual novel that is really focused on story, really focused on characters, character development, and then adding bits and pieces of fan service into it. But in that sense, I'm just gonna say yes. So,
Okay.
I mean, there are hate scenes that contribute to character, and well, I'm gonna say it again. Like me personally, in my case, I like to prioritize character interaction in a story. That's the aspect that I would look forward to the most in a visual novel, like character interaction and then probably story. So in a certain sense, hate scenes also contribute to character interaction. I mean, obviously, right? You cannot argue against that. So um there are some there are, it's like not all, not a lot, but there are visual novels that give really nice character development for during the hate scenes. Like for example, I would say Aokana, like the video that I did on Aokana Extra 2. You would have the cat girl, Misaki, and then you have the MC, and then you like, I would really want to mention a lot more about their hate scenes, because like it was really, to me, it would really shows Misaki's how do you say it, character, like the what she wants to be, like her willpower in that sense. I mean, I don't know if you guys get what I mean, but I try to, like she's trying to win in bed against her lover, which is still winning, right? Which is still trying to win. So
I mean, it is a form of competition, I guess.
Oh man.
Going back to the point of Nukigas as a genre, it's very weird for that specific subgenre in VNs to criticize age content, because at that point that would be us criticizing horror for being scary.
No,
I
not
think-
at all. The opposite.
are we going with your Euphoria here, or like anything from Nitro Plus?
Oh dear. I think that's beyond, and that's a mix of both Nukige and horror. Oh boy.
That's true.
But no, just to clarify, just in case, it's not that I'm criticizing for being that. I'm just saying that it's those kinds of H scenes in a plot-focused work versus a Nukige-focused work. They should be approached differently, right?
Oh, I agree 100%.
I would agree. I would agree.
And to be honest, And honestly speaking, it's like more often than not, at least the Nukige types, know what they're aiming for. Whereas, I mentioned, like my complaint with a lot of plot focused words, how it's like all the H scenes just feel and sound the same, all the characters, and just how kind of pointless they end up seeing. How it's like they're just 20-minute fillers for no real reason when I'm trying to read a story. Like there's a time and place for them.
So yeah,
That's true.
That's true. Yes, it's how the writers would write the hit scene, and then MR, you are very one cheeky guy for quoting that for quoting great writing, but for storytelling, you are very one cheeky guy. So yeah, I want to bring in that point. Like, if it's great writing, it really it adds some oomph. How do you say it? Some
pizzazz. Yeah. Oh my god.
It adds something. Yeah, it adds something to the story that you are reading. Like as I've said, character interaction. If it works, then be my guest. If it doesn't work, then don't add it in. So it like in a romance. Yeah, there are visual novels that do not have hit scenes and romance. I mean, anime, it has romance. Like the majority of anime has romance, but they don't have hate scenes. They can do quite well. But hate scenes are they are part of human needs. Simple. So human needs will also be met in certain cases. That's why visual novels are like maybe the best medium to do that, I think. Although hate scenes are like very long, as you said, like 20-minute fillers that just make you
Yeah, that's a good point. There's been, I've heard several times over from other people that one thing people like about the H scenes is that the author isn't treating the audience with like kid gloves. It's like, yeah, that's a normal budding part of relationships and falling in love. As far as you said about like the good writing and the time and place, like the perfect example is Fate's Day Night. It's third route, Heaven's Feel.
Heaven's Feel, all right.
Exactly. Heaven's Feel is a perfect place to do it because it's the whole point is about, Emiya's romance and difficult relationship with Sakura.
What was the girl's name again? Hinata, was it? Is it Hinata?
Girl's name?
Sakura.
Yeah, Sakura. Yeah, that's the entire point.
Oh my God. like I remember it was one name from Naruto, and it's gonna be either Sakura or Ninja.
What a way to remember.
Oh my god.
It's just that I've read Fate's Day Night long time ago, so I don't remember much of it.
Okay.
But I remember the hate scenes vividly. I remember
in the good way, It's like they added to the story so much.
So, yes, like reading Heaven's Feel for like Sakura's route, I was shocked. I was actually surprised that she was like that. And then when the reveal happens, and then the reveal to the H scenes happens, like who she is, I was, wow, this is something else.
Yeah, it's tied in so much into the story, and it really elevates it. I know. Really? Yeah, there's obviously there's that Real to Nua re-release of Fate's Day Night that has other, it has replacements for the H scenes or where it just fades to black. And yeah, a lot of people. No, yeah, and a lot of people recommend it's like, no, you should totally keep them on for the Heaven's Feel route because they add so much.
Type Moon, is it Type Moon? The Type Moon doing the like censoring it?
Sort of, kind of. It was an optional thing in the Real to Nua release where you could choose if you wanted to or not.
I'm not up to date with the latest. Like there is a re-release. Like
no, that wasn't the official one. Oh wait, no, it was the. But anyways, and then the important point, and then the other thing of what I wanted to say is that the first two routes, the Fate route and Unlimited Blade Works, that's like the opposite end of the spectrum, where there's H scenes and like they kill the pacing and they mess up the characterization and they are written very poorly. It's
If I recall correctly, Fate Stay Night's hate scene was like during a battle, like during a confrontation.
Yes,
Was it?
it was
And
in a
then
really awkward timing, and it
yeah,
was.
yeah, okay,
ah,
okay, I agree with that. And then Fate Stay like Unlimited Blade Works. It was for the guy to receive energy, if right.
It's like, oh my god, yeah. Those
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
I may argue. I will agree with the Fate Stay Night. It felt off to me. Plus, I don't think that Saber was my best girl anyway. Sorry,
oh,
Fate
okay.
Saber
You want
fans.
to start a fight?
Sorry,
That's
Saber
what.
fans. I'm just
I
saying
mean,
right now, Saber is not best girl.
what is there to fight about? She's not the best girl. Come
Okay,
on.
okay. I'm calming down. Calming down.
Yeah. Okay, but the second one, I know it was changed in the anime. It was changed in the anime, but I think like, yeah, why not? I'm okay with it in the visual novel method.
Oh man.
Oh come on.
So yes. Honestly, Fate Stay Night is a great example of the difference between the two, and in a
I'm
plot focused work, of course.
very interested in the fact that, like, very surprised at the fact that Heaven's Feel made it work and then Stay Night didn't make it work. But then Unlimited Blade Works, yeah, that's a debate right there. We can have a debate right there.
No. You whack priorities.
I'm on with Towers on this one. I did not like how they basically made an excuse pretty much to have it in Unlimited Blade Works. If you want a good excuse, right? Look no further than Even Equal 2. That was an amazing idea of blending of story and the scenes itself with a very comedic twist. My favorite from that game has to be the time lag. It just cracks me up to this day. The time lag was amazing because it just to back up. Evenical 2 talks about epidemic diseases and they are very fantasy like and some of them are super wacky. And the time lag was that the character has like 3-4 seconds of a delay before they feel something. And they participate in that scene having that disease on and reading the disconnected lines of that age scene was so hilarious to me.
You really have to bring in Evenical too, right?
Obviously, I had to.
MR talking about Ebonical. Wow.
That
Wow.
works so well because the story is about curing those epidemics and diseases, and they do affect human life, including those scenes, and makes for a comedic duo. Amazing.
Taurus, please tell me you have read at least the first Evenical.
No, I haven't. I haven't yet. Someday. It's on the eternal backlog.
It's on the internal backlog like the rest of us, but yeah, I mean, MR, like, Evenical, yeah, the hit scenes are the plot device. It moves the plot forward in Evenical. Without them, you cannot function. So I think it's pretty much a given that in that sense, in that story, it is required. And I'm all for it. I mean, Evenical is one of my favorite series ever. I mean, I would spend hundreds and hours of it and I wouldn't get bored. Because yeah, so but the idea it really I don't know. I mean, Evenical is not fully H scenes, but H scenes themselves are a plot device forward, and it really it also goes back to the writing. So the author for Evenical knows like how to tackle how do we bring in H scenes in a way that's not boring, so we make it like more fun and it's actually suitable to the plot. So yeah, that's how you have Evenical. And what about, like, for example, Sayana Uta?
Ooh,
I mean,
boy.
Sayana Ota is actually on the same vein as Evenical when it comes to atmosphere, because that's what they both aimed at, in my opinion, with Evenical going for the hopeful tone of how the entire world is pretty messed up, but the main protagonist brings that hope during the bad fun time and creates the best kind of environment despite the situation they are in. Whereas in Sayanouta, it's plays into the horror of it all.
Yeah, I mean, Sayonota has its hopes as well, but only for one character.
That's true. Oh my god, that's true.
I love how both of
I
them
mean-
are kind of, you have the one sane man in an insane world, but Evan
Yeah,
Nickel plays
yeah,
it for humor and it's all hopeful and happy about it, and then Sayonouta is all like, oh god, the horror.
Personally, Sayonota hate scenes not really much of a plot device until like a certain revelation happened. So I think that works as well. I guess the writing in there is, the writer it's like who was the writer again? Goro Akechi was it? I think
And Urabachi, the Urabucher.
Orobochi, yeah. Sorry, Goro Akechi is a character in Persona. I'm sorry.
Jeez.
I'm sorry.
You have the most creative name mix-ups, dude.
I'm sorry. But yeah, Orobochi, like, yeah, he like the way he made Sayonouta was very enjoyable. I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way to play the hate scenes again, but yeah, you guys should know why, and I hope you guys really also know why. But yeah, read Sayonouta, guys. Read Sayonouta.
On a different note, I was kind of surprised by how many cases you guys are bringing up of how many H scenes there are that were played for laughs. It was just completely humorous. Like, especially, I know definitely there's several like that in Rant series, right, MR?
Rant series.
Oh, you don't enable me. Oh my.
I'm getting nagged to play Rant series because I've made videos on Invinical, but and Housewife's Healing Touch, but yeah, we'll get to there. It's like Taro said, it's in my eternal backlog. But I will also bring in Drakoi, the latest video that I did.
Oh, Drakoi?
Yeah, the hate scenes in Drakoi were freaking hilarious. I'll be honest, I laughed the crap out reading the hate scenes. It wasn't, I mean, it was sensual in some certain sense, but it was mainly for the comedy, and I'm all for it. So, yeah. It really depends on the writing, so.
That's true.
Mhm.
That's true.
I think I see hate scenes as a story in itself.
You know what? Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's a very good way to sum it up, huh?
Yeah. So it depends really on the writer. That should I use this medium to do my story, and how do I write it? So it depends. I'm on the fence. If it was me, speaking biased, then I would say yes, definitely. Give me all the hate scenes, please. But the more on the objective side of me, yeah, it really depends.
Because, I mean, you do have your YouTube channel to think of, too. So when you create your reviews and post them, it's how much of that balance do you have?
Well, me having hate scenes in my video, no, not having the hate scenes themselves. I'm just talking about them, okay? YouTube, please don't ban me. So, I'm just talking about them, like, but the fact that I have them in my videos. Is that you don't generally talk about hate scenes out loud, like openly. And it's not an appropriate topic.
Mm-hmm,
But so I'm wondering why I'm doing it. Well, knowing me that I am the degenerate I am, of course I would do it, right? Like we gotta open the eyes to the truth of the people.
Oh my god, you are a messiah of the digital age. Holy crap,
But-
Acid.
Well, yeah, I would talk about like the necessity of hate scenes if they're in it, maybe an example would be based on the videos that I did, like Eve Nickel, Sayonouta, And then Dracoi with all the hate scenes I will talk about and how they matter, especially also Alcana, but also the scenes that are like the normal visual novels like Fault Milestone. I enjoyed that story really well. There are no hate scenes in that, but I enjoyed the story really well, and I don't think hate scenes would fit in that story. Maybe I would fantasize it in my mind, but only in my mind. So you don't need writers. You don't need to push it. It might ruin. So yeah,
Exactly. Like, yeah, you mentioned the Fault series, and yeah, it is an all ages story, and it's not. I don't think there's any romance involved in it. It's basically a
I
story
would
of the two
I
main
would have
characters.
Yuri romance.
No, no, what? Oh my goodness.
That's what I said. That this is the bias side of me talking. Like that's why I say I'm fantasizing about it, but it's
Ah,
only my fantasies. Okay.
Yeah, but there are some visual novels that don't have them, but mention them. Like, I mean, we don't have to look far off, but Taurus, Lucy talks about age relationship with robots. It's only mentioned, it's not depicted, and how the protagonist does not. Sorry, when Lucy brings it up, the protagonist says, "Oh my God, stop talking! You're ruining the moment." If you remember the scene I'm mentioning, and the other would be Analog, which talks at length and has a text of people having relationship, but it's never depicted because you go through logs and text and never shown at all.
right. Because I think when you mention that, it's just the H scenes itself are very intimate. Whereas in like the
Yes.
examples you mentioned, they're either talking about just general romance between android and human, and in Analog's case, just we're reading about the relationships. Well, not about the relationships. It's just that they exist and they serve central parts in the story, but it's not romance focused.
Yes, exactly.
Just the difference between these relationships existing versus them being the focus of the story. So I mean that is an important distinction.
This is like bringing me memories from like My Girlfriend is the President visual novel, and then Magikoi, because Magikoi there was an android there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think Magikoi is part of the Reddit subreddit's head mascot. I don't remember the android's name, but
Cookie.
yeah, God forbid I read that. I've not read it. I mean I read.
Oh my goodness, you haven't? Dude,
I read Magikoi in general, but I'll be damned if I read a hate scene with an android. So
what's that supposed to mean? Oh, we got some anti-android hate over here.
Hey man, I mean, no, like no offense to androids, but I just want some warmth.
Oh, I can't stand this. I thought you were cool, Acid.
But honestly, okay, this might be a bit like a double standard, but I have read the android scene in My Girlfriend is the President. Yes, I have read that, and I'm like very on the fence about it. I don't know what to think about it. I'm like very clueless. So yeah, I don't know if you guys know that visual novel, but it was a pretty, I don't know, pretty fun. Not a great VN, but it was a pretty fun VN. So.
It was a hit many years ago. I haven't though.
Me neither. I haven't read it.
Very comedy focused, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, imagine having your girlfriend as the president.
And that was just the start of all the zany stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, that might be a good point to end today's video. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, of course, Acid, for being part of our episode as a guest again. Thank you so much.
All good, man. All good, no problem. It was really fun. Oh my god, it ended already, man. I'm gonna talk about more.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Thank you, all listeners, and please don't create new flame wars in chat in the comment section, please.
Guys,
Goodbye.
welcome
Bye-bye.
to Flame Wars in my community section. It's all good. Bash me.
Take it
Bash
over
me
to
all you
Acid's
want.
YouTube
Don't bash
channel.
me, guys. Don't bash MR and Tauros. They're super cool. You can bash me all you want.
Oh my goodness.
That was short. Holy shit.